So today I'm going to be talking about motivation, direction, and purpose, because motivation's something that comes up quite a lot within personal development, but really there's more to it than that. A lot of people struggle with motivation, and I'll go into a bit more detail why it's required and why it's not, etc. But a lot of people are struggling to find the motivation to change, and having some challenges, some problems, and not actually doing anything about it, not actually change, not having that level of motivation to do something about it is quite common. And obviously, if you're having some sort of a challenge and you're not actually doing anything to change it, then you're obviously going to just get the same results over and over again. So it needs to be a level of implementation, a level of action in that. But the thing with motivation is that I would like to say, forget motivation, because motivation is useful in the beginning, but it's temporary. It doesn't last. And you might have found this if you've been to there's quite well-known personal development events, and a lot of them are really good, and people come away from these events and they're very motivated, but that level of motivation doesn't last and it wears off. And how many of those people from those large events do you think really get lasting change? That they might come away, feel fired up, have a level of motivation, but it's the lasting transformation that we really want. The lasting change to actually to get over the challenges we're having, to develop emotionally and be able to deal with whatever life throws at us. That lasting transformation, which is really the goal. And really, we need to look at motivation as it's like the beginning. It's useful to get us on our journey, to get us inspired to take action. But ultimately, with whatever it is you want to change, you need to get to a level where are you doing the thing that you said that you were going to do long after that feeling of motivation has actually worn off. And this is where we can't just rely on motivation. If we want to change something, we can't just wait and rely and think, am I motivated today? I'm going to go and do this, or I'm not. That's not taking a level of personal responsibility. So we need to implement a level of action, because we have inspiration will lead us to motivation and then to action. But really, it's that action that gives us feedback that inspires us more to be motivated to do the next thing, because any sort of action, any sort of implementation is going to get a level of results that is going to get us inspired again. So it's taking that level of action, it's building habits, having a level of discipline to do the things that we said that we were going to do to get that lasting change. And that's long after the motivation is often worn off. And often, with anyone that's achieved anything great or achieved any level of success or any level of personal growth, then there is that element of doing things that you don't always feel like doing at that time, but it's beneficial for you, because that the mind, it can be very comfort centric, it can talk us out of things. So it's really having that level of sticking to why you're doing something. And there are different drivers of why some people are way more driven than others, and this often comes down to their reason why. And your reason why is an internal driver of why your level of how driven you are to do something. And some people are extremely driven. They just whatever it takes, whatever challenges, whatever people are, if people criticize them, and they're still after their goal, they're very driven. And a lot of that is people who have gone through a lot of emotional trauma in the past. This can be a catalyst for change, or they might have had some event happen, some near-death experience that made them reflect on their life and really driven them and motivated them for a long term, is in to really make the most of life and really go after it. And But the thing is that obviously you don't need to have some sort of big event like that to get the same results, because we can still take action, we can still build habits, we can still use these habits and implementation of the things that we're wanting to change, and then we're going to get the results from that. And then in that, it's going to give us feedback, because we have to look at life as in it's. If you're reading off life, then it gives us feedback, and this actually brings me on to what do I want to say on this? Having a level of direction. Well, sometimes people they don't really know what their direction is, but if you're taking a level of action, you've got this motivation that might wear off, but you do something about it, you implement it, you're inspired to change, but then from that level of action you get results from that. And when we're trying to find our direction, basically it's just do something, just do anything. It's a lot of people are just sitting there, not really doing much, and they're having these challenges, these emotional difficulties, but by doing something, then it gives us feedback. It gives us feedback in, is that the right thing to do? And then you'll be like, well, yeah, that was good, or that wasn't good, and then you can feed off of that, and then you're moving forward, and then you're all the time you're creating, you're taking action, you're creating a new self-image. And this is what I talk about in the LPT guide, creating this inner shift. Always goes back to creating this self-image, and the more we take action, the more we get results and we get feedback, and then more then we look back and we'll be like, whoa, I've been doing that for the last few weeks, and that comes part of you, and that becomes part of who you are and your self-image, and then you can build on that. And that's the process to getting lasting change. But it takes this level of action. And obviously we can use a level of motivation to get us there, but we have to take that level of action, and then we can use that to get feedback. So let's talk about making decisions, because this links in well with this, because some people are like, well, I feel motivated to change, but I don't really know what to do, and like I was saying, with a level of direction. But this comes down to knowing yourself, and one thing I would say is knowing your values. When you know your values, your decisions become easy, because you know who you are, you know what you stand for, what you like, what you don't like, and this gives us a much better place to know where to move forward. Even if we don't have 100% clarity, don't get too hung up on having 100% clarity on how things are going to happen. Don't worry about the how too much. It's more to do with understanding ourself, as much as we can at that time, by understanding, our values, what we stand for, etc., and then taking a level of action based on our where we want to spend our time, what we want to be doing, where we want to grow, what are the challenges we want to overcome, what do we want to build? Do we want to build a business? Do we want to be healthy? Do we, these are all different processes of becoming our best self and making or creating our best self, a strong self-image, a strong self-identity. But it takes that level of action. And when we're making decisions, it's much easier if we know ourselves, if we know our values, what we stand for, who we are, where our boundaries are, what we like, what we don't like, the sort of people we want to spend our time with. It comes down to this level of personal growth, of really knowing ourselves on that level. It gives us a level of clarity, because whenever we're confused, a confused mind leads to inaction. So the more we can be clear on ourselves and our values, then it makes it much easier to move forward and know the direction of where we're going to go.